What is going on, everybody? Is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing another mock draft with trades. There's only going to be one round because PFF actually updated their mock draft simulator, and of course, just as we get something amazing, they limit the amount of rounds you can do to one because they only put 50 players in. But that is okay. It just means we get to have more videos this week. I have already started dropping my mid-season rankings, so if you guys haven't checked that out already, definitely do so. I put a lot of work into those graphics, so definitely show me some love right there. Let me know what else you can improve upon on the channel. Remember, I always love to hear criticism. Just don't be a dick about it. Let's kick right into this. Again, if you guys are new, would love for you guys to join the community. We just reached 5K very short time period ago, so it's nice to be able to continue growing the community. Let's get to 5,100. Let's move on past that. Let's start this off. With the #1 overall pick, we have the Detroit Lions. And this is updated as of, Sunday night. So don't worry. This is not going to be factoring in Monday Night Football for the people who are going to say, what the hell is this draft order? We'll see what happens. But there's not likely going to be that much of a change. If there is, you never know, there might be like a new first place team. Obviously not. But obviously, if there is anything crazy, we'll just do another mock draft because mock drafts are fun. Why limit ourselves on the amount of mock drafts we can do? Because I do this stuff every week. Let's continue though. #1 overall. If the Lions are here, you really do have to start considering quarterback. I am in that position at this point where it's like, you probably should at least start considering it. Now, the real question is, you have a second first-round pick, right? And if we check where that is, that's at pick 14. Now, for me, I am a huge proponent of either being able to get a bigger edge rusher or being able to get a defensive interior for this team. And you can pretty much get any position on the defense. Let's just be honest here. But I think the real issue comes down to, do I want to go with Bryce Young at 1, or do I want to trade down with a team like the Panthers, which I did last week, and be able to select Jalen Carter? And you can end up getting it's a really good trade for all sides. And again, at that point, you can still spend that second first-round pick on a quarterback. You can even trade back that pick and get Hendon Hooker and be able to get Tanner McKee, because at that point, you've acquired so much draft capital that you are comfortable and you understand that, hey, this is something that is worth the money. So I think that's definitely a very good option for the team. But at the same time, the question is, the Panthers definitely could be wanting to move up to 1 for Bryce Young. I would not doubt that in my mind. But let's think here, because this is all live. I don't pre-plan this stuff because I think it's kind of stupid. I genuinely don't agree with people who pre-plan mock drafts. It's not fun to just have something set in stone unless you're putting it on a website, which, a lot of writers do. But people on YouTube, I think the most quality content is seeing a thought process live. That's what is making live content so fun. You can see someone spiel anytime on the internet in these internet forums, but you'll never see it live. So that's why I do what I do. But I really do love the idea of moving down here. I really do. And there's no way in hell that they have Will Levis at 3. Wow. Okay. So they're really thinking quarterback's going to come off the board. They put Will Levis above CJ Stroud. And y'all calling me a CJ Stroud hater. Yeah, I know he's ranked number 4, but just saying. I'm trying to... So if we pass on quarterback, all 3 are going to go by pick 6. I don't think we have much of a choice, guys. I'm not going to move back to pick 3 to select Jalen Carter, to select a backup quarterback later. This team genuinely needs a QB. It needs a lot of things, to be fair. But you moved up in the last draft to get Jameson Williams. It's pretty obvious that you understood where you're trying to aim this franchise. And I know this is going to piss off a lot of my Lions fans, and I apologize. And I know a lot of Panthers fans are like, dude, let's do that trade. I would love to move up and get Bryce Young. Oh. Because that's my dream scenario. But we're going to change it from last week. This rips me a new one. Y'all know how much I hate doing this. So, pick number 2. The Texans sitting here. You're down to CJ Stroud, Will Anderson, etc. And oh my god, this is gonna drive me crazy. Regardless, you need a QB, and I'm not in the mood to have it pick five, sloppy seconds. I'd rather not take, hey, whichever quarterback's worse, we'll take. This is a position that you don't mess around with. And now, if you have concerns about both of them, which I do, then maybe it would be fine taking those sloppy seconds, so to speak. But I think this team is a developing offensive line. Hopefully, Brandon Cooks does not get traded, but I have a strong feeling he will. So the weapons are not as good as what they should be. And you have a developing defense under a good seasoned coach. So I think CJ Stroud would be the best option for the team. And that's where we're going to go. Now, it puts the Panthers in a heavy predicament here. Because when you're sitting at this spot, you have Will Anderson on the board, you have Jalen Carter. It's really damn impossible to say, hey, I am going to pass on these guys and go with Will Levis. But the thing is, you know, I mean, if I'm the Texans, you're sitting here and you know you're getting, I mean, if the Panthers are like, we do not like Will Levis, we're going to trade for a veteran quarterback, then you're pretty much screwed because you're seeing Will Anderson and Jalen Carter go in the next two picks, and you're stuck pretty much with Myles Murphy. But to be fair, he's my number one player. It's impossible for me to take Will Levis in the top three. Like, it just guts the living hell out of me. And it's impossible. Like, how could I do that to you guys? This is the hardest mock drive I've ever done. Like, in terms of the top three. Because I'm going to be honest, Terry McKee's not the 17th overall player in the draft. Love him to death. He's not. And, I mean, man, this is ridiculous. Like, what do you do if you're at number 3? You have to get a quarterback, right? How many times are you get the sloppy seconds of other teams? Which, low-key, you kind of are with Will Levis here, rather than CJ Stroud. Like, wow. I actually didn't think it was going to be this difficult. Because you really are stuck between Will Levis and saying, hey, we're going to get Will Anderson and just say defense is our identity. I mean, the only pick I could see is Will Levis. You know, that's a team, that's a pick that you need as a team. But would you rather go Will Levis, or would you say, hey, screw it, you know what, we wanted Bryce Young, that didn't work out. Let's see if Matt Corral can actually develop. Let's see if he can stay healthy. Fuck it. I cannot take Will Levis. Like, deep in my heart, I cannot take him. I can't take quarterback. So I'm going to go with the best player available. That is going to be Will Anderson Jr. to be on the opposite side of Brian Burns. Just, you have to go BPA. You have to. Go Matt Corral. You just drafted him in the 3rd round. I know it's a new regime. I know it's pretty logical for them to say, hey, we're going to get our new face of the franchise. But the simple fact is, I don't think this is worth it. I would not do it. Just watch the games. You will see the crazy flashes, 100% top 5 worthy. But you see some of those plays, that's like, ooh, you can't make that in the NFL. You really can't. Like, I was not a Mac Jones fan. I was not a Trey Lance fan. Both of those guys seem to have their own issues. I'm not a quarterback guru because I was a fan of Zach Wilson. Like, obviously, I'm not going to puff out my chest and be like, I'm the best guy on YouTube for quarterbacks. Go to the QB school for that. That guy's a freaking G. Love him. But regardless, if you're here at number 4, my team, the Steelers, you just got to go BPA, right? You have to. You know, obviously, Hayward's coming out. He's probably going to retire somewhat soon. Jalen Carter, hello. It's BPA. I mean, again, I was considering taking him here at 1 or just trading down and taking him here at 3. And that might be the best move. It really might be. But I personally don't want to live in a world where I selected Will Levis at 3 after taking Bryce Young, then CJ Stroud. So bear with me a little bit. You guys can see the crisis of conscience inside. Regardless, pick number 5, we have the Cleveland Browns pick that has been sent for Deshaun, the massage man, Watson. And again, if you're sitting here, you got CJ Stroud. I think you go best player available. I love Myles Murphy. I really do. Now, you can go Quentin Johnston. You can go Jordan Addison. You can trade back. I mean, ooh. Hold up now. Ooh, I like this. Okay, so now this is going to be fun. Brady might not retire, especially if they're at number 8 overall. but he might leave the Bucs if he just really doesn't believe in them. I am like seriously intrigued. Tampa Bay's never been at number 8 overall, and obviously we think of them as a Super Bowl caliber team, right? And when thinking about it, like the first few picks, the first 3 go down by 400 points each, and then I think it goes until 5 at 200. So this is approximately a 600 point gap, which is an early second, which is this pick right here. And I do think you can leverage this pick for sure, but I think that you'd have to toss in like that next year. Honestly, with getting a new quarterback, I think that you can leverage this second round pick here. No, I meant to do 65. So it's going to be either 8 and then 2 seconds. We're going to move up, and we're going to ask for 2/3 in return. So it says it will likely be accepted. I do not care. Again, I forgot to pull up the draft trade chart to see the values. It's roughly that amount. Like, luckily we reviewed it last time, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. The Bucs are moving up, and Will Levis is the guy. Now, this makes sense. You've had Tom Brady. You have a system ready. And now you have pretty damn low expectations. I assume Tom's going to be moving out. He's going to be moving out eventually. Like, he just lost his family. Like, so, again, like, RIP to the stability of his home. And I do think he makes a comeback. I want the best for him. So, obviously, he wanted privacy and respect. That's what we're going to give him. But if you do think that he is going to stay around, most likely it's not going to be in Tampa where they have injury problems, where they're kind of capped, both literally and metaphorically in terms of salary cap. I just don't know. And if you are in that striking range and you don't have to give up another first, not a bad option. Pick number 6. The reason why I had to go up to pick number 5 is because I know that the Raiders were right behind. And for me, if I'm the Raiders at this point, I mean, this is a spot where I would consider trading back, but I'd probably want to go an offensive tackle here. If you're not going to get a QB, by the way, in Carr's contract, they can actually cut him this year, save $110 million. I think that's a very real possibility. And if the draft comes like this, you bet your ass they're going to be calling Bill Belichick, being like, dude, what do you want from Mac Jones? I'm not paying Derek Carr 110 mil. And I think that'd be very wise. I really do. Get McDaniels back with Mac Jones. Be a good move. And you get to save a lot of money. You get to see him go elsewhere. I mean, Derek Carr could end up going right here to Tampa Bay. But I'm going to go Peter Skoronski. He's a baller as a tackle. He has never played right side, which is my only concern. And yeah, he has some shorter arms. But I do think we've seen guys with shorter arms succeed. I mean, Penei Sewell is a great example. I don't think Skoronski's on that level, but I do see him as a really mean, nasty blocker and someone that does fit the Raiders' mantra. I do think that like he really fits the silver and black. There we go. I don't know why that was difficult. Regardless, number 7. This is probably going to be Quentin Johnston here. And again, you got to go a number 1 wide receiver, or you probably have to go offensive line because I love offensive line. Regardless, Quentin Johnston's the number 1 guy in the class. I'm glad to see that PFF agrees with it. We'll do a breakdown of the top 50. That'll be a fun video this week. That'll substitute round 2. How about that? It'll be fun. Pick number 8. Now we traded back with the Texans, and we still get Myles Murphy. Yes, you can get Myles Murphy or Jordan Addison there, but there's so many really good receivers in this class. I don't really think it's a necessity. Pick number 9. The Eagles are sitting here, and honestly, the only position that's left, and by the way, I did not expect this. Jalen Jones is ranked number 20. Like, everybody, so I've been like puffing my chest out saying this guy's a top 5 player in the class. And I did not know anybody else thought of him anywhere near the first. To see PFF have him as their consensus ranked 20. Cornerback seems to be my thing. Obviously, I was a huge fan of Tariq Woolen, and I had, Sauce as my number 1 player last year. But you never know. I might have found my little niche right there. It might be the cornerback school. And I never played corner, which is funny because I played a lot of other positions. Regardless, if the Eagles are sitting here at pick number 9, I do think edge is on the board. Robert Quinn's contract is structured where, actually the trade was structured where they have him be a free agent at the end of the year. So all that money pretty much is out the window. And I don't know if the Bears did that or like the Eagles wanted to do that. I don't understand why they would necessarily do that because the Bears don't really have to like worry that much. It's not like they're going to be very competitive over the next couple of years. But I don't know. Like, I guess it'll give Robert Quinn the money. Like, he gets guaranteed money. That would be cool because he doesn't have any after this year. So, regardless, the Eagles, I mean, edge rusher certainly is still on my board. Myles Murphy would be my dream. Now, I think Isaiah McGuire is a stud, and he might be the late first pick. I have him as a top 15, top 10 player. But cornerback to me is definitely something I really want to target. Now, will Howie exactly target a first round corner? That's a great question. Someone brought that up. They said, like, hey, we do not target first round corners. And that is a very good point. We've been trying to target a corner for them for a long time. And I remember when the Eagles used to have like 3 top 10 picks. It was like Sauce Gardner, Kyle Hamilton, and I think it was KT as well. It was like some ridiculous defensive trio. And obviously that didn't happen. But, I mean, if you're sitting here at number 9, there's not much this team needs. You need a running back. You're not taking that at 9. I swear to God, if you take Bijan at 9, I will cry. Because there's some really good backs in this class. Wide receiver, no. Offensive line, don't think so. I don't really think that's that pressing of an issue, like especially right now. And then when you look at the defensive side, there's nobody good enough for defensive tackle. Don't even start trying to talk about Brian Bryce to me. I will mute you. Not really, because again, free speech. But Brian Bryce is not worth the top 10 pick, regardless of what people say. I thoroughly do not believe that. And again, my opinion can change. I've already watched him multiple times. But again, until all 22 is like fully out and I watch every single game that I want to, which is what's great in the offseason is everything's fully up to date, then we can start talking about it. But he's been inconsistent, he's been injured, and overall, I'm not a fan of him. So there's no way in hell I'm taking him in the top 10. So we got those filled. Edge, definitely a position I want to target. This class is rich with edge rushers, though. I think you wait to the second round and be able to select an edge in the late second and be perfectly fine. So definitely still on the board, though, at pick 10. Then you want to look at corner. That's a primary concern. And Garrett Bradbury is about to get that freaking bag. Safety, I think, is another concern. Nobody even close to worth it in the top 10. So, to me, it's down to edge rusher and corner. And, I mean, we'll pull up both of them. And I'm so happy they finally have these dudes in here. Of course, they don't have my number one man in Isaiah McGuire. I'm going to go Joey Porter. I mean, if you're at pick 9, that just is what you're going to do. There's nobody else worth it on the board. Again, you could have traded up and then gotten Myles Murphy, and I would have respected that. I would have. Like, you could trade up here, and then the Jaguars could have gotten Addison or Quinn Johnston. Maybe I'll do that another mock because Howie likes to jump 2 spots. It's just a Howie thing to do. But Joey Porter is just such a stud for the team. Pick number 10. Let's get this rolling with the Seattle Seahawks via Denver. By the way, Seattle is just looking so prime. There's no need to get a quarterback if Geno continues playing like this. Legitimately, he throws such a beautiful ball. I genuinely love Geno Smith. So I never thought I'd say that, to be honest. It's kind of weird to hear. But, when you look at the team, I don't really think there's many positions you need to target except for on defense. And I know corner is a position you target later rounds as well. I'm going to respect that. I like to target corner for you guys too. I think edge is still a position you should target. I really do. I don't think Boye Mafe is like the guy. I don't think he has 2 sacks on the year. That's great. It's at least production, right? But I just don't think that he is going to be a premier edge rusher. When you have guys in the class like Jared Verse, I could see it. I could really see it. And then I think Byron Young's in here too. So I love it. Will McDonald's in here. Byron Young's in here. Big fan. Big fan of this update, apart from the fact they don't have the best edge rusher who's left, and that's Isaiah McGuire on the board. But this team doesn't need that much. That's why they're being so competitive. They actually have really good players everywhere. And to me, I think Jared Verse would be awesome. He's a super physical freak. I think they like the guys who have a little bit more size. You look, most of the players that have been edge rushers there, I believe, have been above that 255 mark. So if that is the case, and we all know how the Seahawks love to draft guys who are, a little bit outside the range. Recently, they've been doing a lot better of a job with that. So we'll give them the respect they deserve. But we're going to go Isaiah McGuire here. I'm going to show my love. So I've been sticking my chest out for Jalen Jones for a long time. I think it's time where I stick my chest out for Isaiah McGuire. This guy is worth the top 10 pick. Legitimately. He's at least a top 15 player in the class. Just watch him. There's a guy named Duo Barrel Roll. I'm not getting paid to promote him. I just think that his work, especially when all 22 tape isn't out, is phenomenal. Like, it really is. And it just helps so much. Also, it allows you guys to watch the games in like 20 minutes total because you get to watch the offense and the defense. It's super cool. Regardless, pick number 11. This has to be a corner as well. I don't really think there's many other options. Wide receiver, you could look in that realm, but I mean, I don't think you go Bijan. That just doesn't seem right. I think DB just needs to be the position you need to target. And there's a lot of really good dudes here. You got Keely Ringo, you have Christian Gonzalez, Jalen Jones, Garrett Williams. Like, to me, you choose whichever one you want. I'm gonna go Keely here just because, again, you've seen him versus super high level competition, and he's been able to perform very well. So I do like that a lot. The Bears are on the clock, and I do think Jordan Addison would be a fun addition, but at the same time, you need to get somebody who actually has size, and that's not it. Jack Smith and Jigba is not going to be the guy target either for the Bears. You do need weapons, but remember, free agency exists. Do not reach when you could end up drafting offensive line. Again, this offensive line has a lot of young players, but the fact is, I don't think they're very good. I just don't have faith in them. So, with that being said, I do think someone like Paris Johnson does fit a little bit more what the Bears like. Again, Paris Johnson is a hyper athlete, and he does have that guard tackle versatility, and injuries happen along the line. He's been playing very well this year, so I'm very excited to say that, he's been doing a good job. He looks comfortable as a tackle right now. So, got to show him a little bit of love. Paris Johnson being taken. I have my number 1 tackle still on the board. Pick number 13. So, this is another position where I would consider an offensive tackle because, again, I think wide receiver is pretty plentiful in this draft. Jordan Addison's tough to give up on, though. I really think that he should be this pick. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to say the Packers actually listen. And they're like, damn, shoot, we're going to give this to Rodgers. Rodgers, what do you want? And he's going to be like, listen, Amari Rodgers is a beast. He is. But he's just not good enough. So we're going to get, if Amari Rodgers was actually really freaking good, a little bit thinner, too. And then we get Jordan Addison. You need that X factor. That's what Amari Rodgers was supposed to be. With the ball in his hands, Amari was just absolutely awesome there for Clemson. Jordan Addison pretty much is that, but just almost 10 times more. I love Jordan Addison. And he totally deserves to be a top 15 pick. He is a very good player. Pick number 14. So, again, we have decided to go quarterback. And I know I'm about to get totally reamed for that. But would you rather have Bryce Young and whoever's here, or would you rather have these two guys and, Jalen Carter? And I love Jalen Carter. I'm not trying to throw shade. But, to me, it's pretty obvious. To me, at that point, it's pretty obvious. So, I think corner is definitely a position I want to look at. I do think they could still upgrade there. I think linebacker, Trent Simpson's on the board. You definitely could be addressing that as well. Now, again, defensive interior, I just don't think anybody's good enough. So it's really down to corner, edge, linebacker. Looking at the edges who are still available, I mean, I just might want to give it a shot at, we probably should go linebacker here. The linebacker class is fairly deep, to be honest, and it's a little bit disrespectful that we don't see guys like Jacoby Windman on here. Trent Simpson, obviously, is going to test out of his mind. But it is a lower value position. And again, we're starting to see these linebackers take a big step up this year. And I'm so excited to see that because honestly, at the start of the year, I was like, dude, this is the worst class I've ever seen. I'm legitimately unhappy about this defensive class, just in terms of the linebackers. Not a fan. But this is the problem. I think you should probably go corner or safety here. And I'm a huge fan of this man. Antonio Johnson is he's just everywhere. He's the Swiss Army knife. But you could trade back, and this does have trades. So we're going to do that because I don't think any other team's taking Antonio Johnson anytime soon. There is Bijan Robinson up here. There are really good offensive linemen. There are really good edge rushers. So, when I see teams that are probably desperate, they're probably going to be in a playoff hunt or trying to chase a Super Bowl. Bengals certainly are a team where it's I do think that Eli Apple being gone, they do kind of want to capitalize on it. And I could see teams like the Colts, Patriots would never do that, but Washington, all those teams could try to address that corner position. But same thing with the Falcons. You need a corner too, man. Casey Hayward is just not going to be there forever. So if I'm the Falcons, unfortunately, you're going to have to trade up to be able to get someone who's kind of starter quality for you. And this is a great spot to move back because I don't see any of these teams going after Antonio Johnson. So, of course, it doesn't bring him up as a potential option. But the Atlanta Falcons are trading It's about like 1,000 versus, like 1,200. So it's a 200-point value. I think that if you do send this pick 82, it will be enough. Therefore, we are going to force the trade, and we are going to select a corner here, and you do have your pick of the guys you want. But I thoroughly believe that with the ability of Christian Gonzalez to be able to latch on and be able to just play sticky press coverage, I just love it. I really do. I want him in my scheme. Christian Gonzalez is going to be the guy who I would make that move for. Pick number 15, the Colts. If you don't get to be able to draft a corner, I think offensive line is the need. And Anton Harrison can play both left and right tackle. Broderick Jones is a beast, but the guy who I took at number 10 overall made Broderick Jones look kind of like a scrub. And I don't really feel like this team is one that fits Javon Foster's skill set well. I like Anton Harrison a little bit more in the scheme. Pick 16, Isaiah Wynn's on the trade block. So I do think this actually might be an offensive lineman. And I am actually going to go after a hyper athlete. And he's not one of these two guys. And I don't think I'll draft Olu Fashanu in the first, but I'm not going to draft Luke Whippler. So it's not Luke. It's going to be Javon Foster, my tackle 1 of the class. I think that's going to be the sneaky pick. Bill's going to be like, dude, this guy's a stud. And he is. And he's going to end up being the next great tackle. They're not going to go back to Georgia to replace a Georgia tackle when I think Isaiah Wynn might be better than Broderick Jones. So, big fan right there of Javon Foster. Pick 17, Washington's on the board. And, again, quarterback, not going to be valuable enough. I thoroughly believe that there's 3 dudes who I'd probably take in the first. Then Hendon Hooker's my QB4, so not good. But still, I would probably take a corner if I'm them. If you're sitting here and you're debating, it's like, okay, well, it's down to Jalen Jones and Garrett Williams. I think Garrett Williams fits a little bit better, kind of like what you were hoping WJ3 could be. So I think that's a great spot. Pick number 18. So, again, the Bengals just drafted a DB last year in the second and in the first, but we'll talk about that another time because it's not really applicable here. Jalen Jones is the guy who I want to target. So it's Jalen Jones or it's going to be Andrew Voorhees. You either boost the offensive line or you boost the defense. You are losing Eli Apple. I would not pay him a cent. I'm going to go Jalen Jones. And I'm so happy I actually get to select Jalen Jones. It's been so long. It's been so many times drafting Trevor Daniels versus Jalen Jones, like for Jalen Jones. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. But we also know that this is going to be the other DB from Texas A&M, Antonio Johnson. Pick number 20. Dolphins are on the board. And this, honestly, I'm going to show my love here for Jacoby. Oh, Trent Simpson's still on the board. It's Jacoby Windman or Trent Simpson. I'll go with the more true linebacker. I know DB, we could definitely go that route. We're going to, screw it. We're gonna do an executive trade. We're flopping these 2 picks right here. Brian Branch is actually going to be the Dolphins pick, and Trent Simpson is going to be the Chargers pick. I think it's a perfect swap. Brian Branch, again, I think that it was not Xavier Howard. Is Byron Jones up for a potential contract or potential cut this year? Maybe. I know one of the DBs definitely are, and you guys are looking for someone who's super versatile. Brian Branch is my dream for you guys, so I'm going to put Brian Branch there to the Dolphins, executive decision, and we're putting Trent Simpson to the Chargers because you guys need extra help in terms of getting an actual linebacker up in there. Haven't had it since Manti Te'o, and I don't even think Manti Te'o was that good. It's been a while. It's been a while since you guys have had a legit linebacker who can just haul down that defense. Pick number 22. Again, this is a spot where I think you could go after somebody of the caliber of a corner, but I'm not going to do that. We've already went after an edge rusher, after one of my favorite guys in the draft. Now, I think we can address offensive line. Again, your identity is that run game, and Osiris Torrance certainly fits that. Andrew Voorhees can fit that. I love Andrew Voorhees so much. To me, he is the pinnacle of consistency. Osiris is the pinnacle of upside. I'm going to go with consistency here. I really just, you don't need to be fancy. You just let Kenneth Walker do his thing. Pick number 23, the Jets. So the 2 teams that drafted running back in the second. 2 of the 3. I know the Bills drafted James Cook at the end, but who drafted their number 1 running backs? If the Jets are sitting here, you got to go offensive line. And there is Broderick Jones here. I don't think it's much of a question at this point. You go Broderick Jones. Pick number 24, Ravens on the clock. This is going to be fun. This is Jacoby Windman. I love Drew Sanders. Oh, we're going to use a placeholder again because PFF only put 50 dudes. It's a little bit tough when you have 32 guys that you have to take. It's going to say Siaki Ika. It's not. Don't fret. It's going to be Jacoby Windman, linebacker / edge rusher out of Michigan State. I want to go corner for you guys, but you also snipe some really good corners, usually like the third or something. Obviously, I think it was in Pookie Williams. He's been pretty good. But Siaki Ika, not going to be the guy. Jacoby Windman, monster linebacker potential. And honestly, I love his potential. I really do. I think he could be an absolute stud. My comp for him is like shades of Michael Parsons. I can just totally see it. If he completely succeeds, I could totally see it. Pick 25, the Chiefs. Brian Breezy's here. I think that's still an extremely smart move. However, I'm still seeing two guys who I have in my top 15. That's Jared Verse and Will McDonald. And I think that going after high upside with Jared Verse. Also, he'll continue hearing that chant. I don't know what it's called. I was not going to continue that for you guys. But he'll continue hearing that chant for the rest of his career there at Kansas City. Pick number 26, the Dallas Cowboys. This is another team where I would have loved Jacoby Windman, but I honestly think getting another corner would not be a bad idea. I think getting another wide receiver, not a bad idea. And you have Jackson Smith and Jigba here. I don't think it's a bad idea at all to go him because he can move outside, he can go inside. Like, if you guys want to get mad at me for taking him that late, PFF had him at 24 on their big board. Like, it's not like they think he's a top 10 dude. So, let's slow our horses here. This guy's probably the 5th best receiver on his team in terms of if you include Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. I mean, hell, Fleming might be better. Abuka, Marvin Harrison. He could be the 4th best on his team right now. So, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Pick 27, New York Football Giants. Just lost to the Seattle Seahawks. So, let's not talk about that, shall we? Quarterback definitely should still be in the equation. Again, the offense is the limiter, and Saquon is not the one limiting. I think wide receiver, you just trade away Kadarius Toney. Could get someone like Josh Downs, but you have your replacement already. I don't know if Kayshon Boutte is going to come out in this class. If he does, this would be a great fit for him. I thoroughly believe that. Corner, another position that I would like to target potentially. You still have Clark Phillips and Cam Smith on the board. Cam Smith would be a very good player. You see how Adoree Jackson's starting to take off. I think Wink Martindale, which kind of is my mentality, my mental image, even for the Ravens still, is I love the fit. That's exactly where I'm going to go. I think you continue bolstering the defense. I don't know if a wide receiver that might not come out is really the option for me. Pick number 28. So I still think offensive line should be a concern for the Titans. I think, again, you're kind of down to running the rock 30 times a game, especially with Malik Willis. So if that is the case, offensive line is going to be your best return. A wide receiver could definitely be a good option, but I think offensive line is going to be your best return. And I'm looking at the teams remaining. I'm not going to draft Olu Fashanu with these next few picks. So it's not Olu Fashanu. Again, I do like Olu. He's progressed very well. But, I mean, hell, probably people are going to see this and be happy with it anyway. I'm not saying it's Olu. I'm going to go Darnell Wright. He's played right tackle and left at a very high level. And I'm a big fan of that. It's also what Nicholas Petit-Ferrer did there for Ohio State. So, obviously, you see that they like that versatility. Pick 29, the Vikings. So, Brian Breezy's on the board. It would be interesting to put Brian Breezy for this team. Corner, still on the board in my mind. You still have Tyreek Stevenson, who I am a big fan of. I'm surprised they only put 50. It does kind of suck. It was so fun just to be reminded of players that you really like. A linebacker, I don't think is out of the equation. Drew Sanders definitely could be a really good linebacker. But you know what? Let's just add a nice receiving / blocking weapon in Michael Mayer. If he's going to go in the first, this is probably the range where I would like him to go. Pick number 30, the Bills. God help us. It's Bijan Robinson. God help us. Sorry, James Cook. But and I'm sorry to the Eagles fans because I just totally screwed y'all over. So, oops. But yeah, Bijan. Oh, Jesus Christ. Regardless, So the Eagles, we drafted Joey Porter. I don't know. I mean, this could also be a running back. You guys, I've heard, are in the Alvin Kamara market. Regardless, I think that damn, that Bijan pick would have been a really nice way to end it off for you guys. Uh, damn, that would have been the best. So that hurts me a bit. I still think an edge rusher probably is going to be the pick I want to go. Safety as well, definitely on the board with JL Skinner. I'm a big fan of him. But I think when you have these top tier edge rushers and you might not get a shot at one of them that you really want, it's down to Andre Carter as well as Will McDonald. And you like these guys who have about that 260, 265 frame. And if you do bring back BG on a 1-year deal, it'll be great for framing a guy like Andre Carter to be the best version of himself. Because again, he's taken a bit of a step off this year. I'm excited to see him get back to it, though. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.